welcome back to another episode of Humans of Campus Housing. My name is Leo, and I'm here with my co-host, Ben Wicker. Hey, Ben, how's it going?
I'm doing well, thanks, Leo. It's been a busy summer so far, but glad to be here and starting to get ready for the new year. We're already in training and looking very squarely at opening here in just a few weeks. So it's good
Yeah,
to see you.
I'm sure everybody listening right now can totally agree. It's a really busy time of season. So good luck to everybody, and hopefully it's a great and successful moving season for absolutely everybody. So this episode is it's going to be a really exciting one because I'm super thrilled to welcome somebody really fun and super exciting to the team. Her name is Aja Holmes, and she's got 20 years of experience as student affairs with experience in housing and residential life. And now she's got a role in University of San Francisco, working in resident life, on-campus living, and basic needs. Hi, Aja.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So it's really exciting how we met. So we were actually recently at a Cool Eyes Campus Home Live, and my
Yes.
boss Rich was like, "Hey, Leo, I actually have somebody that I really need you to go ahead and meet." And he like pulled me aside, and we were like rushing to this room where Aja was at, and I got introduced to Aja, and I really like loved her energy, and I was like, you know what, like I think she would make an amazing co-host. So now we have her here, and I'm super excited to welcome her as a co-host to the Humans of Campus Housing podcast.
Super excited. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be on here with you all.
Yeah, absolutely. So Aja, do you mind giving us a little bit of a background on you and your amazing 2 decades in student affairs? Like, what first pulled you into this world, and what's kept you here with so much heart?
Oh, wow. So I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and
Right.
I am a Midwest girl through and through. And I was involved on campus. I was that student that was probably annoying to staff, but they were like, she just keeps showing up. So give her something to do. And one of the grad students, her name was Dr. Kathy Guthrie, who is now at Florida State, said, "You know that this is a career field." I said, you mean I can spend the rest of my life on a college campus? Sign me up." Oh my goodness. I was so excited. I didn't have the best GPA, but I figure a letter from the president at the time, who was Vic Buccini, who is now the chancellor at Texas Christian, wrote me a letter of recommendation. I said, they can't say no to me now. So I got in. I stayed at Illinois State for my master's degree. Worked with Dr. Phyllis McCluskey Titus, who was the faculty member there, who's now retired, but who is still somewhat a champion in my corner. Appreciate her. And I spent 2 years there. So I spent 6 years in Bloomington Normal, Illinois, and absolutely
hmm
loved it. Um, I do like small towns, but I have not lived in a small town in a long time. But I spent some time there. Then I left there and I was like, you know what? I need to spread my wings. So I moved all the way to Stony Brook, New York, and I worked at Stony Brook University on Long Island, which is a young SUNY campus. I want to say 64, 65 was when it was, there, but
Yeah.
did such great strides in science. And I spent 3 years there as a hall director. I should have known that I was going to work my tushy off when I found out that homecoming was ran through residence life.
Oh,
And our homecoming parade was at night. So we had to procure generators, lights, and all the fanfare to bring this to life. But needless to say, 3 years in a row, under my direction, we run the best homecoming float. Boom.
That's right. You better say it louder for the people in the back.
Yes, I said, first of all, y'all don't know nothing about no homecoming floats in the Midwest. Where's your chicken wire? Where is your chicken wire? I spent three
that's
years
right.
there, and then it was time for me to kind of get some uh, progressive supervision, as they
Yeah.
want to call it. And then Georgetown was like, "Hey, we like what we see. Come on down."
Okay.
So I spent my first stint with the Jesuits. Thank you, Jesus. Um, there, and being somebody who went to Catholic school most of her life, to be able to be in a place where my faith can also be on display and not be hidden. I enjoyed my time at Georgetown. I participated in some of the retreats. I spent 5 years there, and it was just a great location. It was Obama's first term. Woo!
Okay. Yeah.
And it was just fantastic to see the excitement, not only in the city, but also coming in and out. It's such an also transient
Right.
place because of the government and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And then I left there because I said, you know what? I want to go back and get my doctorate. This is a good time for me to do that. I was saving money, paid off my car, a lot of peanut butter and jelly and beans and rice was eaten so I can do that because I knew I was going to go back full time. I have dyslexia, and so I need to be able to be in a space where I can, focus and not have too much distractions and things of that nature. But I said, okay, I'm gonna go to a place where I've never lived before, but I need to be close to my parents because I need some love and support. So I was 6 hours from dad and 3 hours from mom. So that meant back to the Midwest I go. And the Cyclones, Iowa State and Ames, Iowa said, come
All right.
on and hang out with us. I have never worked or been to a school that has a D1 football team,
Yep.
and it is, you're talking about folks coming out for that. People come out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they roll out on Sunday. They bring in plants and fake grass with their little RVs. And this, I mean, I my first game, I just walked around tailgating just to kind of see this. It was just massive. I didn't even go to the game. I just walked around
Yeah.
tailgating, was talking with people and meeting people because I've never met a stranger. That's how I live my life. But I was so fascinated by the people who brought like the plants and the grass. I said, lady, you're only here for 3 days. I said, looks like you moving in. She said, you got to have the comforts of home.
That's right.
And so I spent 4 years there as a graduate student. I worked with the George Washington Carver Scholars in the multicultural affairs area. So it was my first time in multicultural affairs in that area. But I also went back full time with all this knowledge of being a student affairs professional. And boy, did I have fun on that campus.
Hmm.
Literally, my doctoral cohort had to sit me down and say, yo, this is not doing your undergrad all over again, Aja. Why are you the graduate student representatives to student government? Why are you here, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at some student government meeting? That lasted only a semester because my body was like, listen, I know you want to be there, but you need to be asleep. So I had such a great time there. I love Iowa State. I am a lifetime alumni member, and it was just perfect where I can be 6 hours from my dad who was in Chicago and 3 hours from my mom and her family who was in Minnesota. So it was just a great time. And then it snowed May 13, 2013, and I ain't never seen folks so angry at the snow because we had a really good April. We had a really good going into March. But you never know with the Midwest, honey. It's
Never
just
know.
to give you something. I ain't never seen white folks mad at the snow so much because we had went to school, and then we got to come back at 3 o'clock. It's snowing. We were so angry. So I job searched in Texas, Florida, and California. And I got the honor to work at Sacramento State University.
Okay.
The executive director at the time was Michael Spiros, who was also someone who worked at Illinois State when I was an undergrad. So it was really good to kind of be in a familiar space with familiar staff members. And I spent 7 years there, and it was a place that I really, really grew as a professional, as a manager, as a leader, as a supervisor, and had some really good times at Sacramento State. And then during the pandemic, I guess I must have updated my LinkedIn because University of San Francisco found me and they sent me a message and I said, best time to find a new job is when you got one. And I was okay to stay at Sac State. I had started the home buyers program through NACA. So I was looking to really stay. I was really grounded in my sorority there and in the city of Sacramento, I mean, it's so much good nooks and jewels in that city as the capital of California. But I went through this and I said, oh my goodness, I can live back on campus. Sign me up. So University of San Francisco was like, hey, come on over. And I am starting my 5th year as of July 7th here at the University of San Francisco as the Assistant Dean of Students, Director of Community Living, which oversees the residence life, off-campus living, and our basic needs. So I really get to interact with students who are just fantastic, students who are in need of some help, and probably some students who may be at their most vulnerable. And so really to be able to support them during those times and ensure that they have what the basic needs that they need to be able to be great in their academic career really does speak to the Jesuit values that really underline and gird the work that we're doing.
Congratulations on the 5 years, Aja.
Thank
That's
you.
really exciting. And I
Very
have to say, as a Midwestern kid at heart, because I was born and raised in Aurora, Illinois, so it's
Okay.
not far from Chicago. I
Yep.
have to say,
I-55, 355.
yeah, there you go. You better say it. Yeah. I have to say that's so awesome. I had no idea. That's really cool that you have roots there.
Yep. I'll be there in a couple weeks for my 30th high school reunion. Technically the 29th, but they want to celebrate it now because I think we're celebrating 1995's 30th. It was a small school,
Oh,
small Catholic school. So I'm
okay.
headed there. I'm doing a turn and burn. I get in that
Yeah.
morning and I fly out the next morning
Oh
to come
goodness.
back here.
Well, listen, Asha, you better listen to your body if it has something to say again.
Exactly.
He- It's probably also that mindset. Yeah, I can do anything for 24 hours, right?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
yeah. What a great journey. I appreciate you. I resonated with a lot of what you were saying in terms of recognizing those opportunities. When they came, and just kind of going out on faith and taking that risk, and also going into it with a growth mindset, right? Like when I went to a small private school for undergrad, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go somewhere very different for grad school, right? And so I went to the other USF in Tampa, and got my master's degree. So it's funny though that you mentioned Dr. Guthrie, because um, we've interacted before through Aku Hawaii, and I mentioned, I think when the first time we interacted, that I was starting a new doc program, and so I've just started my doc program here at FSU, and I'm in my first semester. We're wrapping up that semester, and we had a roundtable discussion with a faculty member who's not currently one of our active faculty, to discuss our potential dissertation topics. And Dr. Guthrie was actually the faculty member who led our roundtable discussion. So that was my first interaction with her, and loved
That's awesome.
just a little bit of time I got to spend with her. So
Absolutely
that's
fabulous. And
that's
we
really
also
cool.
got Dr. Cameron Beatty at
Yep,
Florida State. Yes,
yep.
he was the one that initiated sitting me down to tell me while we were at Iowa State that this ain't undergrad all over again. You got
Yeah.
work to do.
I actually got to I in my youth, I guess, when I was involved in Scouts, I got the chance to come to Ames for a national
Mm,
scout conference that they hosted there, where they had like 5,000 scouts come for a week.
yeah,
And it was a really cool campus.
it
Obviously I'd
is.
never, being from Tennessee, I'd never been there, but was a very cool place
Huge.
to visit. So yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
huge campus.
Yeah. And it's got that town gown thing, right?
It
Because
does. It
I mean,
does.
the identity of Ames is very much tied into
Hmm.
the university, and that's always a wonderful feeling, right? To have that positive affiliation
Yeah.
with the work that you're doing, the vocation that you feel, and the place
Hmm.
that you're living, all tied
Yeah.
into one thing. And so I really
I think
appreciate
that
that.
we call them anchor campuses, right? Where they anchor themselves, in the community, and who they're bringing to the institution for entertainment extends itself to the students, but also to
Exactly.
the city, right? To the out neighborhood. So,
Right.
and we brought some fabulous people. During my time there, I also served on committee on lectures. Rest her soul, Pat, she was over committee on lectures for years. And I got a chance to meet Bill Nye, the science guy.
No
Nice.
way. That's so cool.
Amy Sedaris got to ride in my 2005 red Toyota Corolla that I still own to this day. Dr. Joseph McNeil, one of the Greensboro Four, got to ride in my car.
That's cool.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And the guy who did Cake Love, who did
Okay.
the cake on, I think, the cooking show. He also
Hmm.
has had a bakery in DC. We brought him to campus. But I got to meet some awesome people being a part of that committee on lectures and those meetings, and it was just something else to be a part of that. But just to see those town gown relations, and I know what that looks because that's also how Illinois State was in Bloomington, Normal, Illinois. Like I grew up
Yeah.
with that,
Right.
and we grew up with, the people who we brought to campus were also extended to be entertainment to the folks who lived in the surrounding area, as well. And so I was used to that.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
But I've
really
spent the
cool.
last 3 times now being on campuses that are in major metropolitan cities like Washington, D.C., Sacramento, San Francisco.
Right.
There's no competing with the city. We here at San Francisco, I tell my students, there's with our programming RRAs, don't go try to compete with that city. That city will
Right.
always win.
Right.
How do we then bring them into the fold? How do we, introduce them to what's it like to live in the San Francisco city, right? To be able to say 20 years from now, oh, I went to college in San Francisco, and this is what I did, this is what I learned. So how do we, utilize the San Francisco city as a way to really entertain our residents?
Yeah, because that tie that you make during your undergraduate experience to the place that you are is usually a lot stronger than some of the other ones. I did appreciate, as you were telling your story about going back to get your PhD and doing that full time. I think a lot of people don't really think about, how they go about that, right? And I'm working on an EDD. It's designed to be executive, so it ties into my work schedule, all the classes build, very intentionally scaffolded and everything. But we have a PhD program as well, and there are a lot of people, who do try to manage both those things. And I'm in awe of anybody who makes that commitment to go back and do that. But I also really resonated with what you were saying as like leaning into that experience and being an adult learner. I found that, going back into the classroom was awesome after having that experience, especially when you're engaging in something that you're really passionate about. And, it just, it heightens that experience to the nth degree, I found. So I will 10 out of 10 recommend that for everybody. But like you said, it's got to be on your terms, and it's got to be in the way that you learn best.
Absolutely. I couldn't have done it any other way. Could not have done it any other way.
Yeah.
That's really good. So Aja, one last question, because I know that this is we're kind of wrapping up a little bit. Can you tell us your craziest or chaotic move-in day story that you've had, or something that maybe perhaps that you've seen that maybe perhaps you'd want to like share with everybody?
Oh goodness. So when I first got here, we opened a new building, and it was absolutely, it's a beautiful building, beautiful building. But one of the things is, at the same time, we had to deal with students who started college during COVID. So that means that they didn't get the pomp and circumstance of the welcoming committee to bring your things to your room and things of that nature. So we really had an extended opening, right? We had an extended opening for our first year students who are moving into their first year halls. And then we also had to do it for our sophomores who were rising sophomores who missed that experience. And so this is my first year, and I was like, wow, this is so awesome. And I was like, and I'm in my mind, are we going to do this every year? But no, but it was really to make up for what the COVID kids lost.
Yeah.
Them elevators weren't ready for us. Excuse me. Them elevators were not ready for us. The new building, them elevators ain't been up and down. The elevators got stuck. Oh my goodness. We had moved everybody in, and this was a time where we had some food out for folks, and we were doing some things, we're a Catholic institution, a little wine down the way, stuff like that. Oh my goodness. That elevator got stuck. I was so angry. I said, why are these people on there? 17 people got off that elevator. And you know who they were? Parents. Parents. Not our students. Parents. I said, now you mean to tell me we know we shouldn't have did it. I mean, would y'all reliving y'all lives over again? Living y'all undergrad? Get out this elevator. All of them were parents. And we had such a good belly laugh, because they were like, we know we shouldn't have did it. But we got them off that elevator. It was just so funny to see them get off that thing. That there, for me, with the last couple of years, has been one of the craziest things ever. Because we just knew it was students. We just knew it was students. Everything. We would double down on it. I said, these doggone students get off there, all these gray-haired, tired looking folks moving folks in, all these old folks, grandma on the elevator. I told them we shouldn't have got on there. I said, did you tell them loud enough? But it was hilarious, and they just all shuffled off the elevator. I said, these elevators not ready for us, y'all. They got to give them a good semester. They got to get the oil right to go up and down the elevator. But that was a fun time.
I've never been to San Francisco. Leo, I know we're running out of time, but what is the weather like? I've always worked in the Southeast, and so my move-in days are guaranteed hottest day of the year. It's going to rain in the afternoon. So what is move-in? What is the the air like in San Francisco?
San Francisco in the summer is chilly. It's because of the weather that we get
Right.
from the ocean. We're 10 minutes from the ocean, right?
Right.
And then we also got this other side of the bay that has this fresh water that's been sitting there, and it mixes also too with the mountains that surround us, right? So meteorologists come here to train on the weather. But in the summertime, that June, July, and that first beginning of August, it is 50s and 60s,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
It's not, that is some misting, that happens and stuff like that.
Right.
Our summer is like, end of August, September, October. September 3rd in 2021, which is my birthday, it was 93 degrees on my birthday on that day. The people complained, and it's the only time they complain. There are no air conditioners here because we don't need them. Because we have the fresh air. We don't get the bugs like you all do. So many
Yeah.
places don't have screens in the windows, right? I
Right.
don't see too many flies and not much mosquitoes and stuff like that. So that's really good. That's a kind of like an up part there. But for the most part, it is in the lower 60s, kind of year round.
Wow.
You can change into clothes all, but you see people who have been here for a while where we're wearing like parkas and shorts, and then down below, some sandals.
Yeah.
That's the outfit for the day. And I was like,
Nice.
you look like winter up top and summer down below. Because by the
Well-
time 1, 2 o'clock comes, it might be 70 something degrees. And you can drive across town. You can go over to Oakland and it's about, 20 degrees warmer than what it is over here in San Francisco.
I know Tori must love that weather.
Yes, Ben,
so,
you have to
yeah.
come visit. Then you have to come
I
visit.
absolutely will. Hey, the invitation's been offered. I'll be out.
Yep. I got a 3-bedroom, 3-bath townhouse. One of those rooms
All
got
right.
your name on it.
Nice. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Aja, for that. I've never heard of that before, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. But anyways, I do want to say I feel like we're beyond lucky to have you joining our crew here. From leadership insights to lived-in experiences, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the conversations go from here. And with that, I'll hand it over to Ben to close us out.
All right. We thank you for tuning into the Humans of Campus Housing podcast today. It's always our hope that our conversation has helped you in some way, connected to your personal or professional experiences, or that it inspires you to take this back and continue or further the discussion. If there's any topics you would like to hear us discuss, please reach out and let us know. And of course, we hope that you will like, share, and subscribe to the Humans of Campus Housing podcast. In this crazy world, please take care out there. Look after your students, care for your people, and most importantly, take care of yourself and find ways daily to refill your cup. A very special thank you to Aja Holmes from the University of San Francisco for being here today and joining us and sharing your journey and experiences with us. It was awesome to hear, and for you all taking time for us today. For Leah, Aja, and everyone associated with Humans of Campus Housing, thanks for joining us.